Flower crowns have long been embraced around the world across the centuries, within religions, cultures, to celebrate this and that and everything in between. And today I am going to go over a brief history of the flower crown. Honestly, my enchantment with flower crowns stems from my love for Frida Kahlo. I know that she took inspiration from a lot of different areas of the world to dress herself. I mean, primarily Mexican, but there are pictures of her wearing very eclectic pieces. Today, I just want to explore one of those, which is the flower crown. In addition to going over the history of the flower crown, I'm also going to talk you through how to create your very own hat pin rose, aka a ribbon rosette. Hi everyone, I am Jessica Gibson with Kaleidoscopes and Polka Dots, where I sell handmade, vintage-inspired jewelry for the soul who's in love with the past, wholeheartedly lives in the present, and embraces the future. If you enjoy videos relating to vintage fashion, jewelry, and books, then please hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so that you never miss a video. And also, please be sure to subscribe to my newsletter so that you also get updates about what's going on around here, and also notifications about when I post, because you know what happens. First, let's get started with the history of the flower crown. Let's begin with Beltane. Beltane is a pagan holiday that honors life. It is symbolic of the peak of spring and the beginning of summer, and their flower crowns usually reflect what the changing of the season looks like for them. And that is why flower crowns across the world within pagan traditions kind of vary quite a lot. For those that celebrate Beltane, Beltane is made up of a big feast with spring and summer in mind, and creating a maypole or even hand fasting, which is a wedding, which totally makes sense, right? Because spring is known for wedding season. Next, let's talk about the Ukrainian flower crown, which is incredible. Is, from what I see, one of the most elaborate flower crowns out there. I mean, obviously, any tradition can make them as simple or as elaborate as they want to, but from what I've seen, Ukrainians are just known for loving and embracing a very elaborate, intense flower crown. But the symbolism behind the Ukrainian flower crown is rooted in the long-standing tradition of a wedding celebration. It is known as the Ukrainian vinuk, which is also known as a crown or a wreath. And it symbolizes purity and fertility. But in modern day, it is more of an embrace of culture and tradition, which I love, and I'm so here for it. By the way, I will have a number of resources, as always, in the description box. If I run out of space, which I often do, I will also host my sources on my website in the accompanying blog post once it's ready. I haven't started it yet. Once it's ready, it will be linked in the description box. Next, let's talk about the Hawaiian flower crown. So in case you didn't know, because I didn't, lei means garland and po'o means head. A lei po'o is also known as a Hawaiian flower crown. And as in most cultures, every flower used often has its own meaning and symbolism. The flower crown for Hawaiians is used in celebration and a symbol of love. So they are often given in birthdays and weddings and to welcome someone, as you see often on TV. Each area tends to have its own version of their flower crown. I believe one of the most popular ones is the hakule, which a tropical flower crown just sounds brilliant. Moving on to the Victorian era flower crown. So on April 10th, 1840, Queen Victoria married Prince Albert, and instead of donning one of those exquisite royal tiaras, she chose to go for a simple orange blossom flower crown, which was often known to symbolize chastity and fertility. Orange blossoms would end up being quite dear to Queen Victoria, and as a result, Prince Albert often presented her with gifts with the orange blossom as the center detail. He himself designed a number of different orange blossom themed pieces, and he commissioned a local jeweler to bring them to life, and oh my goodness, are they exquisite and beautiful. It is believed that Queen Victoria derived a lot of inspiration for her choice from ancient Chinese tradition, where they too embraced the orange blossom flower crown for the same reason, the symbolism behind it, which is chastity and fertility. Next, let's talk about the flower crown that I am most well acquainted with, and that is the Day of the Dead flower crown. On Day of the Dead, we celebrate the lives of those that we've lost through celebration, creating altars, and attempting to bring them closer to us, the spirits of those that we've lost, by raising these altars and presenting them with all of the creature comforts that they enjoyed while they were here, or at least most of them, or some of them, you know, just like bread and beer and all the things that they kind of enjoyed. And then we'll decorate it with marigolds, which marigolds are known to kind of bring them a little closer, help them on their journey towards us. And therefore, the flower crowns can often include marigolds as well, and chrysanthemums and baby's breath, all of the traditional flowers that are used to celebrate the holiday. But honestly, most of us choose to go with roses because they are just so lovely. I don't know why we chose roses, but I mean, roses are often symbolic of love and life as well. So there's that. Finally, let's talk about the 1960s flower crown. This one is much more politically driven. The 1960s, that flower child didn't just embrace the flower crown as a symbol of celebration and beauty, but rather as a symbol of love, of universal belonging, and of peace. Messages that were very important to the community at the time, as the Vietnam War was in full swing, and the anxiety that it brought with it was intense. And that is why the flower crown became such a big symbol of the time. And that is where I'm going to stop. I welcome you to share some of your insights as far as what you know of the flower crown, how you use the flower crown. If you are not in any of these categories, then share your details down below, because I would love to learn. I would love to know. I would love it to add to this, because yes, you guessed it, this is going to be another series in the future. All right, let's get to making rosettes. Welcome, this is my studio. So to begin, I just want to give credit where credit is due. All techniques that I am sharing with you today have come from this lovely book. Specifically, I used the portion on hat pins, which is just the whole book is just gorgeous to look at, by the way, but the hat pin rose that is pictured here is stunning. If I had to rate this book, I would say that it is probably an 8 out of 10. It places a lot of emphasis on quality of material, which I don't think is necessarily that important. I used a lot of polyester ribbon, and I think personally that it looks just as nice as the premium quality ribbon that I also used. A lot of it is also your technique versus the quality of material that you're using. Even though the project really does try to guide you properly, I found that it was lacking a little bit. I personally know that I learn a lot better when I do the thing versus reading about the thing. So the basic steps are as follows. You start off with a knot, and then that becomes your center for your rose. And then as you work around the knot, you half twist the ribbon to create the outline of your blossom, and that eventually creates your rose. And now once you start half twisting, you realize, okay, there's a lot of material here. What do I do with this extra material? Or can something more happen from this material? Because a lot seems to be going on in this picture. And I found out that yes, it definitely all depends on your technique. So let me show you what I mean. The very first one that I made, and it is my favorite. It's my favorite because it's the first, but it's also the one that taught me the most. As you can see, all of the petals seem to like be doing their own thing, and that is nothing like what the picture shows. The picture shows a array of flowers that have been meticulously sewn in a way that shows the technique of the artist. Here I'm learning and I'm figuring things out, and I think you can see that I quickly kind of pick things up, and the outer edges look a lot better than the center. So for my second project, I used premium quality ribbon. This one is just polyester ribbon. With my premium quality ribbon, I kind of did stick to what the book was telling me to do, which is just stick to one fold instead of trying out a bunch of different folds and coming up with a rose that shows it. So I clearly had trouble finishing the outer edges. Oh, and by the way, this is my own personal touch. The book does not really go into detail on how to use the rosettes after you finish them. Given that I do create pins and focal pieces with beads, I've just figured this was natural. By the way, there is a stark difference between finishing a project with a little bit of cardboard, which that did not happen with this one, and this one has a little bit of cardboard, and the finishing is just beautiful. The first step in creating your own is starting off with the foundation. I used felt, and the book tells you to use crinoline, but I use felt for a lot of random projects that I'm trying to test out, and I thought that it did a really good job. I just double threaded a needle. When you're doing the knot, you want to leave a little bit of extra. Why? Because sometimes this little knot does come undone. That is what happened here. While it is a knot, it's not a very tight knot, and therefore if you don't pin it down properly, it could easily unknot itself, and then you're left with a rose that doesn't really have a center. Now you tack down your knot using a simple stitch, just an up and down stitch, and you want to do it twice. So the first stitch acts just as a placeholder. The second stitch is the one that actually keeps your center down. And as you are working around, you want to make sure that you work on hiding your stitches as much as possible. The ribbon should be the main attraction. So here's one fold that I used. It's basically a complete circle, and I am just tacking it in place. Tacking is the term that the book uses. Not my best work. This is one way. Now, a half turn is this way. Keep in mind, this is just me showing you how it's going to be done. You just want to continue the same pattern around your rose in order for it to look as neat and clean as possible. Because I feel like I'm probably not doing the best job, I will be leaving links to other creators' work in the description box that I believe might help you a little bit more, but this is my beginner's guide, if you will, to creating your own hat pin rose. Guys, that is it for me today. I hope you enjoyed my video. If you did, please let me know what part was your favorite. Will you be trying some of these rosettes? I hope you do. If you do, please tag me on Instagram or any of my social. They're always linked in the description box. Kaleidoscope polka dot, because kaleidoscopes and polka dots is too long. And also let me know, what is your favorite flower accessory? Anyway, I will talk to you again very soon. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my newsletter. That is where I share weekly updates about what's going on around here. And like and subscribe so that you never miss a video. I will talk to you again very soon.